Welcome to the WRC podcast. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and you're in the right place. Here at the Well-Rounded Counselor podcast, what you can expect is to learn, shift your thinking, and gain personal and professional growth. And if you have not yet done so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another podcast episode. The conversation starts now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the WRC podcast, where we explore the multifaceted world of counseling and therapy. I am your host, Katrina Marie, and in today's episode, we'll be diving into the topic of using your intuition in your counseling skill sets. So, I want to talk about what intuition is, but before I do that, I would like to remind you that I have my book on Amazon. So if you haven't been hearing me talk about it and you're new to my channel and you're new to what I do and how I help people, basically I am a college counselor. Well, actually, I'm not just a college counselor. I'm a comprehensive counselor, and I help students, families, other counselors become the best possible version of themselves. And I want to give back in a small way that I can through my book, The Well-Rounded Counselor, Considerations for International College Counselors. Now, you do not need to be an international college counselor to buy this book. You can literally be a counselor. You can just be curious. You can be just, my mom or a cousin or whoever is listening to my podcast, because this book will ultimately help you in a professional way. So again, you don't need to essentially be a counselor, but it is geared and playfully tailored toward that audience. However, if you're looking for an easy read on the airplane, maybe you're getting ready to travel somewhere, or you're going for a road trip and you just want something on your Kindle or an ebook. My ebook is very affordable. It is under $3. Yes, under $3. You cannot buy a lot of things these days with just $3 anymore. So I encourage you and invite you to invest in yourself for this very small amount of money, where you can professionally and personally grow and ultimately help yourself in the long run. So if you're looking for a way to just read something new, learn something about yourself, pick up a copy of my book, you will not be disappointed. And I think today's episode will align with some of the things I do talk about in the book. And we'll just start getting into this topic about using your intuition in counseling. And I want to talk about how intuition plays a significant role in the counseling process and allowing us to tap into our deep understanding that might make insightful decisions. We might not always know that like in the moment, but in hindsight, we can say, oh, I'm so glad I did this, or I'm so glad I emailed that kid, or I'm so glad I reached out to that person, or I did XYZ. I know I do this all the time. And I don't know about you, but I always say I'm a very intuitive person. And I mean, I'm not intuitive in every single area of my life, but when it comes to working with people, my intuition kind of gives me that nudge. And if you're a person that doesn't know how to tap into their intuition, I'm going to give you some quick tips on how to cultivate your intuition just now to kind of get you that Kickstarter self-awareness so you can practice trusting it a bit more. And here are some steps you can take to develop the intuition if you're not sure if you have it, or if it could be a bit tricky for you to navigate. For me personally, I do some of these things, or I have done some of these things, and I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm just going to list them out for you. There's a number of things you can be doing, like self-reflection and introspection. These can kind of help you understand your own beliefs and emotions and values on past experiences where your intuition has helped you, right? So maybe take some time to think about that. Another thing you can do to cultivate your intuition is mindfulness and understanding the present moment. So creating a peaceful but fully present life, paying attention to your thoughts, your feelings, sensations. I know we get wrapped up in so many things that are happening around us, and we're getting bombarded with a lot of things, but this can help you kind of tap into your inner knowing, your inner being, your inner self, whatever you want to call it. Number 3 would be to trust yourself, to trust, your intuition. If something is guiding you a certain way, or telling you like, I feel like this is the thing I should be doing, or this is not what I should be doing, that's your intuition. And you need to kind of trust yourself that that's kind of guiding you in a direction that will ultimately give you the confidence to grow in cultivating intuition. Another thing you can do is practice active listening. This can essentially help you with, other people's nonverbal cues and verbal cues. It could also help you just pick up subtle information or just intuitive insights. So practice active listening with other people, family, friends, kids, spouse, whoever that is. Another thing you can do is journal. Journaling, you can maintain records of your thoughts, intuitive hunches, anything that kind of provokes feelings or insights, and you can review it and see if there's patterns and help you recognize any intuitive abilities you have within those patterns. Another thing you can do is create space for silence. I know when I like to come home, I like to just do 20 minutes of silence, whether I'm just laying on my bed or on the couch, and I turn my phone on airplane mode and I just create space for silence and solitude, and I don't have anything on. I just want it quiet and peaceful. And this can be just through meditation or mindfulness or time for reflection about how your day went. And this space can help you open up intuitive insights within you. Another thing to do is just trust the process. This is something that will require a little bit of patience, and cultivating your intuition does require patience. Things don't always happen instantaneously, but creating a strong connection with your inner wisdom will take some time, and you need to embrace that journey. The last one would be to seek some validation. So, seeking validation and feedback from trusted individuals, such as mentors, colleagues, who experience using intuition in their counseling skills. So you can talk with other people who made professional judgments based off of their intuition of what was the right thing to do. And then in hindsight, it ended up being the right thing to do. So again, sharing your personal experiences with them and engaging in discussions could help you cultivate your own intuition. So intuition works best when it's combined with, your skills and experiences, and these things can take time. So this is just ways you can develop your intuition before you, uh, you know, feel confident with it. But if you're a little bit more seasoned with honing in on your intuition, I definitely believe that this episode is also for you, and I hope you're still listening. So by understanding our own beliefs, our values, our emotions, we can differentiate between our personal biases and intuitive insights. And sometimes this can feel very hard, right? Like, especially, when we're dealing with a multicultural community or people who come from different backgrounds and or viewpoints, it's hard to remove any biases at times, but that's where we have to really work extra hard as a counselor, so our intuition can really be fully activated. So this kind of leads me into the first thing, how our intuition can help us in our counseling skills. You can create a conducive environment for your client or student. I talk about this in other episodes where, as a counselor, you need to strive to establish a safe and non judgmental space where people can freely express themselves. And there you'll be able to do active listening. That's a very important tool. And you can pay close attention to the verbal and nonverbal cues. And once you kind of understand that on a deeper level, it could create some intuitive decisions that you might want to take with that person, and recognize ways that you can help guide your client going forward or your student going forward. So all of that kind of is packaged into creating an environment that's not biased, right? Or non-judgmental. However, it's important to balance your intuition with some evidence-based practices. Now, I don't want to say that I know everything, right? But you need to use professional judgment as well, based off of your training, your skill sets that you've learned through, an accredited counseling body, or a code of ethics that you follow through a professional organization. So again, evidence-based practices that are rooted in successful evidence. So like CBT or solution-based focus theory, all these things, they're evidence-based practices that could, help you also with your intuition. There's that balance of implementing things, right? So we must always be very very careful to verify our intuitive insights against information and observations we gather through active listening and assessments. So we need to be mindful always. So reflection is also a valuable practice that allows you or me to develop our intuition over time. I do talk about it's not an overnight thing, developing your intuition, or especially in your role as a counselor, it can take time. There's been many, many times where I had to make an on the spot judgment, what I felt was the right thing to do, whether it was a nonverbal or verbal thing. I just would take an action. I would make a decision to take an action that I felt was a professional decision to help an individual. And in hindsight, it was the right thing to do. And so we don't always see that until maybe later on, maybe 24 hours or weeks later. So again, that can be something to pay attention to, how long you get that reinforcement that your intuition is on the right track. So, uh, again, however, you decide to balance your intuition with evidence-based practices, that comes with time, essentially. After each session or each time you meet with somebody, take time to get some feedback from maybe colleagues as well. You can talk about it, what happened, without exposing too much personal details, like still keeping it somewhat confidential, but also just making sure you're getting the right feedback, that you made the right decision. That can also help you continue to make good professional judgment whilst using your intuition. Seeking feedback and supervision is also super crucial and actually critical. We need that professional benchmark of our colleagues who are seasoned to say, hey, you did make the right decision, or I think you did the right thing, but I also would have considered this, or whatever that might have looked like. I mean, there's no one way fits all to this discussion, but regular consultations with experienced professionals can provide you opportunities to discuss your intuition and your experiences within sessions and validate its relevance to how you help that person, and also making sure you're using ethical and effective practices. So, engaging in self care activities. This is something I've talked about also in my other podcast episodes, and also this helps cultivate your own intuition. So, by engaging in self care activities such as meditation, exercise, having hobbies outside of work, can help your own well being and enhancing your ability to access your intuition effectively. So, I think last week I talked about how exercise can help you in your counseling skills. This kind of ties into that mental well-being, that mental agility, the capabilities you need to expand in your own mind, your heart, your soul, your body. I mean, it's all interconnected. The mind body is all interconnected. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying I am, but I am saying that there's enough things out there to verify what I'm saying is accurate information and general information, by the way. So I encourage you to engage in self-care to help you promote your intuition, which will then extend into how you show up and help other people. So it is understandable that some counselors could be very skeptical about using their intuition in their practice. I totally understand that some people are just very factual. Well, A plus B equals C, or 1 plus 1 equals 2, however you want to, lay that down. But I think you also have to make some internal judgments that can help you. How do I say this? Can help you, I guess, implement good decisions in what you do on a daily basis. So I know that it sounds skeptical and like a bit woo woo to use your intuition, but I think you're already subconsciously doing it anyway. I'm just kind of bringing it to light for you by discussing it here today on this episode. So next time maybe you're in a session, kind of recognize, okay, I feel like my intuition's kicking in right now, even though you don't need to verbally say that to whoever you're helping, but maybe just make a mental note like, oh, I feel like this is the right thing I should be telling them, or this is, based off of evidence as well, or some, um, you know, practical things that can really help the person. But, if you feel like following up with the person maybe 24 hours later is the right thing to do, and you don't normally do that, it might make a world of difference in building that trust with that client or that student or that family or whoever you are working with. So little subtle things you can do that are not super big, mind-blowing, evolutionary things. These are just small things you can do to help bring to life your intuition and the nudges it's giving you to be a better counselor. So by approaching your intuition with an open mind, this is just my 2 cents, you can stay curious, you can allow it to guide you as part of a well-rounded approach to your counseling skills, and it can also enhance your therapeutic or counseling effectiveness, let's say. I just felt like this topic was really relevant because there's been so many incidents, positive ones, or even negative ones, but mostly positive, where my intuition was guiding me on doing something. And I felt like maybe I should just do this. Let me test it out. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's only going to help. And in the long run, it did help, or it built a better relationship with an individual, or it turned a situation around for the better. So I just felt like this topic was really important. And I felt like intuition, again, led me to create this episode. Intuition led me to share my insights on, how I'm consciously showing up in my job and how you might also be subconsciously showing up in your job. Intuition's been kind of that driving force behind all of that. So, yeah, this concludes today's episode. I hope it was very effective, helpful, insightful, and thank you for tuning in. Remember that your intuition is there and it's staying grounded in evidence-based practices, and it's always going to try to help you navigate to do the right thing. So until next time, stay well, continue on your journey towards becoming a well-rounded counselor, and in the meantime, take care. Catch you all on the next episode. Did you love the episode? I hope you're feeling inspired and no longer feeling alone out there, and you're ready to evolve and become a better person. Make sure that you share this podcast or take a screenshot and post it on your social media. That's how you help spread this podcast organically, and people can find it much easier when you share, or share it with a loved one. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and make it your mission to be a blessing in someone else's life today.